Parasha Meditation, Parashat Bamidbar. So this time it's special because Bamidbar usually always precedes, is the last Shabbat before Shavuot. But this time there is another Shabbat adjacent, juxtaposed to Shavuot. Still, Parashat Midbar is close enough to Shavuot. It's just a little more than a week before Shavuot because it's important to clean our slate, make our slate clean from everything in the past to be able to open our hearts to receive the Torah. And so, Parashat Bamidbar is about realigning ourselves with ourselves. And for that, we have to get rid of all the unnecessary extra fluff and stuff that no longer serve us. So that's like we go into the desert, Bamidbar, in the desert, where everything is empty, where it's just like you and your neshama, you, Hashem, you and your neshama in the wilderness. That's the time, that's the place that's most suitable for completing the process of actually rebirthing ourselves, becoming our true essential selves, reflecting that empty desert, getting rid of all the stuff we don't need. And so even if we're unable physically to get to the desert like me right now, so I put a picture of the desert, so we can still connect with the essential energy of the wilderness by meditating on the desolate desert. And so on Shabbat, it's a really good time. The Shabbat that comes, Shabbat Bamidbar. It's a great opportunity to take the peaceful Shabbat, which affords ability to really meditate and prepare ourselves to become a suitable vessel for receiving Torah. So we need to make room, right? Get rid of the extra. That's what's happening in my life right now. I'm thinking about it. I haven't done it yet, but I guess it's also because we're getting close to Shavuot. I really feel like what I want to do and what I don't want to do, like all the extra emails I don't want to write, all the extra promotions and filing and all the stuff that I don't have enough staff to help me with, that I end up doing myself. I know I have to find a solution, and I'm praying to Hashem. This is my process of realigning myself and myself. This is no longer serving me. This is not what Hashem wants from me. I have to find a solution. So Hashem, I open myself for your blessing to find a solution how these things are going to get done without me. And you could do the same. Think about all the things that you have to do that really isn't what suits the essence of your soul. And then ask Hashem to help us, because he will. He wants us to do what he wants us to do. So he's going to take away all the things that he doesn't want us to do. He's going to find a way that they'll get done without us. Or maybe they won't get done. That's another possibility. Okay? So it says in Parashat Bamidbar, chapter 2, verse 2, Ish al tiklo be'otot lebeit avotav yachanu b'nei Yisrael mineget saviv la'ohel moed yachanu. Every person from the children of Israel shall camp according to his own flag, with the signs of his father's house surrounding the tent of meeting shall they encamp. So just like the Israelites wandering in the desert, they were surrounding the ark with the two tablets in the middle, three tribes on each side, making the center of the Torah. So at this time, as we're getting closer to Shavuot, we have to align ourselves with putting the Torah as the center in our lives. And so the Torah was given in no man's land. Hashem chose Mount Sinai to be a place for giving the Torah because it humbled itself and said, I am lowly, lowly. Therefore, Hashem elevated this lowly mountain that was lower than all the surrounding mountains by selecting Har Sinai for giving the Torah. That teaches us we want to prepare ourselves to receive Torah. We need humility. We have to allow ourselves to be lowly and humble, like the mountain of Sinai. And when we enter the wilderness without trees, it's barren, without flowers. This helps us engender humility, symbolizing the simplicity of nothingness. Infinite sand reflected in our psyche washes away our arrogance and extraneous attachment. How fitting that the giving of the Torah took place in a no man's land, in desolation and wilderness. Likewise, no one can take ownership of the Torah. Unlike the crown of kingdom and kahuna, the crown of Torah is free for all to take. It enters the open hearts of those who are not full of themselves, who are not too full of themselves to make space for the Torah to enter. So in Hebrew, we say the word for wilderness in Hebrew is midbar, and we say hamidbar medaber. The wilderness speaks. It's the same language. The wilderness speaks. And so, like, that's the sound of silence. Without the humdrum of the magnetic static generating power, various electronic devices, and without the distractions of our mundane chores that need to get done, and all the background noises of the cars driving by, we're able to turn inwardly to our divine voice within. And then we can reevaluate who we really are and learn to live more meaningful lives. When we tune into ourselves, we may become aware of some of the deeper processes we're going through, which we often repress through overeating and workaholism. Perhaps some of the things we spend so much time doing are only illusionary ways to gain self-worth. We may serve ourselves and the world better by becoming aware of our lack of self-worth and work on letting go of certain childhood wounds that may have programmed us to send ourselves negative messages. Then we can devote our lives to pursue that which is real and essential, while filtering out the extra unessential flutter that crowd our daily day and distract us from fulfilling our mission. For example, we may want to clear out of our life excessive emailing. That's like in my case. We don't always have to get the last words. I'm okay even if I don't get the last word. Netivot Shalom explains that the time of receiving the Torah is when we align ourselves with our life's purpose. And that's why Parasha Meditations, which is read in proximity with Shavuot, describes the flag of each tribe in order to help each of us reconnect with our particular mission and purpose in life, which the flag symbolizes. Hashem arranged flags for Israel with great endearment, similar to the ministering angels, in order that they would be recognized. Just as each flag identifies a specific populace according to their particular nation, each of us have our own ensign signifying our individual mission. It was in order to fulfill this mission that Hashem sent us into this world. The counting of the Israelites, which is happening in Parashat Bamidbar, highlights that every single Jew is a small world with his own number and name designated for his or her specific purpose in life. Unfortunately, our Yetzer Hara, the negative impulse, especially tries to blur our mission and confuse us to believe that we don't really have any special purpose in life. Therefore, before receiving the Torah, we read, every person from the children of Israel shall camp around his own flag with the signs of his father's house. Each Jew has his own camp and flag, his own purpose to fulfill in life, recognizes our personal mission, prepares us for receiving Torah. We learn about the counting of the Israelites in this week's parasha. The Hebrew word used to describe how each person presented himself before Moshe prior to the census is unusual. It actually says, the entire congregation assembled together on the first day of the second month, and they cleared their pedigrees, the Yit Yaldu, according to the families by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, a head count of every male from 20 years old and upward. In other words, there's the word the Yit Yaldu is a word that means literally they gave birth to themselves. Dr. Israel Suskin asked, why did Hashem use that word, that eye-catching word that's never used any other time in the Tanakh, the Yit Yaldu, to indicate that they are now, that they brought the records of the families to witness their birth claims, that each one should trace his genealogy to a certain tribe. Why it needed to use that specific strange word, Vayit Yaldu? And so he explains, perhaps it's possible to say that in order to merit receiving the Torah, each Israelite worked on giving birth to a better version of him or herself. Likewise, in preparation for receiving Torah, we all need to refine ourselves spiritually, perhaps by researching our family tree and realigning ourselves with our ancestors. We can become aware of not only of our source, but also of who we really are. This is similar to giving birth to ourselves. So, B'ezrat Hashem, may we all give birth to our true selves and reconnect with our particular portion in the Torah. And so now we are ready for the Parasha meditation. So close your eyes, make yourself comfortable. Oops. And whenever possible, if you could repeat this meditation in nature, optimally in an actual desert. But wherever you are right now, just make yourself comfortable in your cushion, in your chair, or in the sand. Close your eyes and take several deep breaths. Make sure to empty out all the air completely with every exhalation. Allow all the background noise to pass through you, and imagine now that you're walking in the wilderness. All around you are only sand and bare mountains. You're all alone as you face the emptiness of the void. Allow the space of this emptiness to enter into you. Become aware of all the superfluous items that you may be holding on to. Visualize digging a deep hole, deeper and deeper, big enough to bury everything that you no longer have any use for. You may place anything you don't need into this imaginary hole, be it physical, emotional, or spiritual. You may want to put all of your arrogance into this hole. Notice how liberated you feel without it. Imagine emptying your heart of resentment, jealousy, and anger and hatred. Place your hands near your heart without touching and feel the warmth emanating from it. Imagine that your heart is now ready to be reborn and infused with the holiness of Torah. Visualize the smallest letter, Yud, inside of your heart. This is the letter of wisdom and beginning. Following the Yud appears the Lamed, which means teaching. Hashem's Torah teaching enters you as you are reborn. Now visualize how the Lamed extends itself to give its teaching over to the letter Dalet that turns its back as it receives Lamed's teachings. This symbolizes how children turn away from the parents and their teachings in order to forge their own personal path. Oops. Dalet can also mean a door, like Delet. Imagine the door of your heart opening and your mother and father walking through it. They each give you a gift. Behind your parents, their mother and father walk in with a special gift for you. Behind each of your grandparents, all of your 4 sets of great-grandparents walk through the door of your heart, each with a gift for you. Keep visualizing all their mothers and fathers for as far back as you're able to imagine. Try to envision the infinite mothers and fathers it took to create you with your particular gifts, talents, and character traits. Feel thankful and centered in yourself and enjoy the gift of being you. Whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes and face the world. In the Torah, Shavuot is called the Day of the First Fruits. This is a time when the fruits are beginning to ripen on the trees in Eretz Israel. It's also the time that we ripen to express our full potential after having matured emotionally and spiritually through the counting of the Omer. Now we blossom and ripen into what we're meant to be, becoming reborn as who we really are, just in time for Shavuot, the holiday of the first fruits.